Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox. I'm the Compliance Evangelist, and I would like to welcome you to a special 5-part podcast series entitled How Tech Informs Compliance to Create Business Efficiency. In this 5-part podcast series, I had the chance to speak with the team at GAN, including Thomas Sehested, founder and CEO of GAN, Valerie Charles, Chief Strategy Officer of GAN, and Peter Chang, Head of Customer Service. GAN offers a one-stop shop for compliance technology. Before I interviewed them, I really had no idea that the platform was as comprehensive as it is. They have a truly connected platform that is transforming the way compliance teams function. GAN has an interesting story, having started as a compliance consultancy in Europe in 2004. During their work with global organizations, they realized there was an opportunity to create a new type of technology platform, and they have done just that. Today, GAN works with top companies across the globe and is growing rapidly. They're thinking about compliance in a whole new light, solving critical problems the industry has had for years. I enjoyed getting to know the GAN team better, and I hope you do too. For more information on GAN, check out their website, www.ganintegrity.com. Over this podcast series, we will consider how the effective use of technology can drive not only a more effective operationalized compliance program, but make your business more efficient. Check out GAN's website, our sponsor for this podcast series, for more information. In this part 1, I visit with GAN founder and CEO Thomas Sehested on his journey from tech to compliance. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'm extraordinarily thrilled to bring to you a 5-part podcast series with GAN Integrity entitled How Tech Informs Compliance to Create Business Efficiency. In this episode 1, I have CEO and founder of the company, Thomas Sehested, who will visit with us about what tracks a tech person to compliance. So, Thomas, first of all, thank you for taking the time to visit with me today.
And thank you so much for having me.
Thomas, I am a lawyer by professional training. I've sat in the general counsel's chair. I've worked in the compliance field for now multiple years, but that is not your background. In fact, your background, at one point you were a world champion windsurfer, then you became a tech entrepreneur in the anti-piracy world. I would first like to really start by exploring what attracted you to compliance.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, it certainly wasn't in the cards for me to be to enter into a career in the compliance space. Even 5 years ago when I was running my previous business. But I think I sold my previous business and spent some time kind of looking at different industries in terms of what could be interesting kind of to focus on. And to be honest, I think what I'm attracted to as a tech person, as an entrepreneur, is really to get into a space where you can, change the status quo, really kind of disrupt the current way of thinking and, for the better. So when I came across, the compliance space, I saw a space that was developing extremely fast in terms of how business critical it is for any global organization. And I was seeing that the tools they had, the compliance managers had to kind of navigate a very complicated global environment, including their own organization, were very limited. And I found that extremely fascinating. So I think that was part of what attracted me to the space originally.
So that's really a fascinating way to start this podcast and actually to think about compliance, because I began in compliance in 2007, and it was written by lawyers for lawyers. It was lawyer driven. And as you said now, it is a business critical discipline within a corporation, but the tools were really lacking. So bringing someone from the outside, someone who does not have a legal background, but looks at things in really a business process way, I think is going to be how we drive compliance going forward. And so that really leads me to ask you, as the CEO of GAN Integrity, what have you seen firsthand about how technology can either help a company implement, or if they have a compliance program, enhance that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're seeing when we talk to some of the leading companies around the world that we're now proud to call our customers, and some of the other companies we're talking to, and I'm talking like literally everything from the Fortune 100 to smaller companies that still do business international. They're faced with a pretty rigorous set of things that they need to live up to. And it's really kind of a minefield in terms of what they need to focus on as a team. And because the compliance is still pretty new, in terms of being, in terms of having the focus of the C-suite, they don't really have the tools to do this, efficiently. So we're seeing very small teams of 2-3 people manage compliance for thousands of employees and thousands of third-party vendors. So and that's impossible. You simply cannot do that to the level that you're expected to do without technology. So I think what really what I really enjoy is like coming into some of these organizations, help them become so much more effective, from a compliance perspective, and also, be able to be proud of what they're doing and be able to present to the C-suite, to their board of directors, just how mission critical it is what they're doing, and be able to do that, with great graphs and PowerPoint, and really become relevant. Because I mean, as most other departments in a company, whether it's HR or it's finance, they all have sophisticated systems that are able to, create these powerful, presentations and pie charts, et cetera, to make their departments look good and to, show just how critical it is for the company. Compliance has been lacking that to a large degree. And I think what we're bringing to the table, and some of the other new companies that are coming up, is we're giving that power to the compliance people. We're essentially helping them not just do their job, but also present to the organization and to their surroundings exactly how critical it is and exactly how big a task it is they're doing. Because back to your point, we want to make sure that the compliance people are not used as kind of the naysayers and the fear mongers, but they're viewed as as part of the organization, and they're enabling the company to do business just like so many other divisions within the company.
So, Thomas, one of the things that I find, I'm not sure interesting is the right word, perhaps striking, or perhaps somewhere else on the continuum is that when someone like yourself, someone with a tech background, sits down across the table to someone like me who has a legal background, it's often a difficult conversation because I don't speak tech and you may not speak legal. How do you overcome that?
First and foremost, like when we started out of this journey, we partnered up with some very smart legal people because it's very true. Like, I think sometimes the danger of being a tech person is you oversimplify things. And we want to make sure we didn't do that. Our general counsel, Valerie Charles, extremely skilled, compliance manager background, and various other, great legal minds that we kind of, brought, alongside us and around the table to develop the software. Because we wanted to make sure we didn't create what we thought would be a great solution, but we created something that truly resonated with the compliance people, the people in the trenches that are dealing with this every day. So it is very much a problem because, if you have somebody coming out at it with a very legal background, it might be hard to see some of the optimizations that are there readily in front of you. But if you come at it with a pure technology background, you miss some of the things that are must-haves and that you can't really get around, right? So I think our challenge and what we see every day is like we want to make sure we marry the best of the legal world and the IT world into one platform.
Thomas, I'd like to ask you if you could give one piece of advice to a compliance professional, to a chief compliance officer, or even an organization who are considering their first investment in compliance technology. What might that be?
It really depends on the organization. I think, and we deal with a wide range of organizations, with, companies with hundreds and thousands of employees, companies with, upwards of 500,000 third-party vendors. So I think it depends on kind of, what industry you're in and also to a large extent where your business is most heavily focused. I think, if you really kind of boil it down, you want to look at, what you do on a day-to-day basis and automate that so that you as a legal person can focus on what you're good at. And that's making the strategic legal decisions about how your company should handle compliance. It should not be about chasing people down to make sure that they filled out their questionnaires and trainings. It should not be about, checking whether third-party vendors, regardless of what territory they're based in, have been involved in various different illicit activity. All of that should be automated. So if you have a lot of third-party vendors, you should make sure there's a solid system in place to deal with that so that you can, use your brain power and your bandwidth to deal with the few rotten eggs that is likely to kind of float to the top once you scan all of your vendors, get them through the different processes. And the same thing with your employees. There is likely, a whole range of departments that will need very little attention from you and shouldn't have that much attention. But you want to make sure you focus and dedicate your attention to where it's needed. And for that, you need some kind of automation around you. You need something to present you with a daily view of your organization from a compliance perspective to make sure you can dedicate your time to that. So I think that is at a high level is kind of where we try to make the recommendation is look at kind of what you're doing today and let's try to automate that, because a lot of what we see from, how compliance people work in different organizations is they really do stuff they shouldn't. Like they shouldn't have such a long education, such a high level of responsibility, and be chasing people down for something that, an automated system can easily do. So that's really how we try to look at it.
So Thomas, unfortunately, we're near the end of our time, but today I've been visiting with Thomas Sehested, the CEO and founder of GAN Integrity. I hope you'll join us tomorrow where we take a look at what attracts a compliance person to technology. Thomas, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is Tom Fox again. I'd like to thank you for listening to this episode of the special 5-part podcast series on how tech informs compliance to create business efficiency, sponsored by GAN Integrity. I hope you'll join me again for another episode tomorrow. This 5-part podcast series on how tech informs compliance to create business efficiency has been a special presentation of the Compliance Podcast Network.